Welcome to the City Current Show, powered by Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services.
This show focuses on sharing good news and powering the good in our community. Now here's your host, City Current CEO, Jeremy Park.
Welcome back to the City Current Show, powered by Higginbotham. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good. And we always love talking about our youth and the transformation taking place to become our leaders. That's why we're excited to have with us Denise Carothers, Director of Events and Community Engagement with Boys and Girls Clubs of Middle Tennessee. Denise, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Well, let's start out. Amazing legacy over 120 years. And so give us some background for Boys and Girls Clubs of Middle Tennessee.
Yes, for 120 years, we've enabled all young people, especially those who need us most, to reach their full potential. We serve over 7,000 youth, and we have 13 physical locations in Davidson and Williamson County, and one digital Club Next, that we birthed during COVID.
When you look at where the magic happens, it's obviously in the centers, but it's also in the classroom, in the schools. And so talk about how it works.
We have standalone sites and we have school sites. And so like our newest school site probably is going to be Pearl Cone, where we have our a teen and industry clubs. And so basically every day, like this is after school programming for us. So our buses are going out every day after school and transporting youth to their various club locations. They're coming in, we're doing a healthy snack in the afternoons, and then we're going into what we call Power Hour, which is kind of dedicated time. We have tutors come in to do homework assistance. We have a program that we just started called MobyMac, just to help them with their reading skills. We're helping with math. We have art rooms in our clubs. We have tech labs in our clubs. We have games room for the fun and recreation. So everything is kind of built on what we call the Project Learn strategy. So every area of our club, we try to make things fun with how you're learning activities, but they're also learning at the same time.
And it ties to the 5 readies. Talk about the 5 readies.
Right. We have 5 readies. So we want our club members to be ready for class the next day. We want them to be ready to read. We want them to be ready to graduate. We want them to be ready for their careers, and we want them to be ready to serve in their communities.
Tie that to, I know you kind of touched on the tutoring, but the academic success. I know that tutoring is a huge part of this. And so talk about the academics. Let's start there and then we'll work our way through, because there's a lot to unpack in terms of coding and everything in terms of where the future is headed with this.
Well, we have what's called Reading Success Academies. So we're offering after-school reading support, and then we're offering in-school reading support through that program. So after school, they're using things like the Wit and Wisdom curriculum to build background knowledge. In person, we have digital learning programs. And then our school-based programs is individualized tutoring, because we're trying to make sure that they stay on their grade level. And then we have a partnership with Belmont. So their School of Education is acting as our tutors. And so in the first year, we provided one-on-one tutoring in 2 schools for 75 students for twice a week.
What does success look like on that side in terms of what do you track? What are you seeing? You know, what sort of things put a smile on your face to see the kids really striving and achieving success?
We like them to try to make sure they're reading at grade level and to improve at least a grade above level. So that program is important. It's also important because we're trying to make sure that, that brings in the graduation piece. So they have these skills and making sure we have on-time graduation. The class, making sure they have their homework done. That's one reason we do the snacks, is we realize if a child is hungry, they may not be adequately prepared to do their homework. And so when we come in the clubs, if they're hungry, they don't want to sit down and do homework. But we're making sure that all their work is complete. So when their parents pick them up, a lot of times, because we do meals in a lot of our clubs as well. So a lot of times the homework's done and they've been fed. So they can have some quality family time when they get home.
Touch on coding, because this is the future, but it's also the present. It's a huge opportunity for the kids to learn. It ties to technology and STEAM and STEM. So touch on coding.
Right. When COVID hit, what we found out was we had some of our club members were in school, some were not in school. And then when they started going back to school, we still have a segment that weren't comfortable being in school. So that's when it was born. It was Club Next. So we started doing, and we actually have a digital club. So we do have club members who are a member of it that may not come inside of a club, but then that's where the coding came in. So particularly, we have what they call Code Academy takeover days, where our Club Next staff will come in the clubs and they'll do STEM, they'll do robotics, just on school time, out of break. And in the summer, there's a whole session where they travel all over Williamson and Davidson counties. You might see them at your local library. They might be at a community center. And the whole process of what they're doing in the summer, partnering with Apple, is teaching them not only how to code, but they build apps. And so we culminate with an app competition. So they'll work in groups and then we'll have local judges at different segments. And then they come together, like this year, for the second year was at Bridgestone. And it's a competition to see their apps, and they are amazing. I know I judged the competition, and one of the apps was they didn't want you to just be like sitting at home watching TV reading. It was things you could do outside of home. And they went so far as like a park. They had all the landmarks and things. You could click on, they'll do things like recipes. There's safety apps. It just depends on the student and their interest.
When you talk about interest, that ties to music and some of the other things that you all are exposing them to. And so talk about some of those aspects.
Well, I'm excited because my office is inside the Franklin Club. And in March, we had a ribbon cutting of our Notes for Notes music studio. And so it is a full-blown studio with recording equipment, keyboards, guitars. The club members go every day. They may have guitar lessons, voice lessons. And in this studio, we practiced once it opened up. We had club members who performed at our steak and burger dinner last month. So we had singers, we had a keyboard player. So they're learning how to read music. Some of them are composing and writing their own songs. And we've been pretty successful with that.
And that also, too, is exposing them to career opportunities, which I know is a valuable piece of the equation overall. And so talk about that exposure so that they can be what they can see what they want to be. So talk about, the opportunities, especially for companies to plug in and really expose the youth, the young men, the young women to all these amazing different career paths.
Our CEO, Eric Higgs, has a saying, you can't be what you cannot see. So we have industry clubs. We partner with local companies and industries, expose them to job opportunities and careers. Like Mars has been one, and with the Mars partnership, they spend time in the summer and they actually do brands. So they're learning about how things get put on the shelf, how the packaging is developed, how the price and retailing. We've partnered with J.E. Dunn on the construction side. So they're just learning, because a lot of them do, and they've actually put up walls because they don't know what they can't see. We've partnered with Fourth Capital and this Cat Financial. So it's just amazingly just bringing to them things that they see, because a lot of you see the athletes, we see football games, but you may not know them. And the amazing thing is, a lot of times, particularly at a bank, most people think you just see the teller, but they don't realize there's marketing at the bank and there's other things. And like, for instance, even your job, when we've done like tours at news or radio stations, they just think it's the person that they see, but you don't know all the behind the scenes. There's a producer, there's a director.
Carry that into some of the other programs that you wish everyone knew about, and then we'll definitely talk about how the community can support your efforts. So when you talk about some of the other programs to highlight, give us one or two.
Well, the one we just did, we're at our Andrew Jackson Club in North Nashville. we've been in the progress of opening a teen center. So we just recently had the first look, hopefully to have a ribbon cutting in December, but it's going to be a place, dedicated space for teens, because the teenagers, they can, some of them drive, but they can kind of, make their own choices as far as whether they're going to be in the club. So we're hoping to have a teaching kitchen and just a place for them to be more focused on their careers and with their own age. Because you probably remember with a teenager, you wanted to be with your own teenager. And we find it in the clubs a lot of times, they want to be with their friends because they have different things. We have Keystone Club, which is like a community service club, things where they can do projects. We do a lot of, with our teens, advocacy. This was the third year we took a group of teens to Washington, D.C., and they get to go to the Capitol and meet their representatives. So we want them to be ready, and that's the part of the Ready for Community.
And that ties into how can the community get involved and support your efforts when you talk about scholarships, spending money, opportunities, obviously, to underwrite your efforts overall. So talk about how the community can get involved and support your efforts.
Well, one thing is we never want any of our club members to go hungry. So funding is always needed for the meals. One thing that I wish we would have next year when we go to Washington, D.C. This year, we had a young lady who didn't have spending money, and the other teens, they all had jobs. And so I just wish we'd find a partner that would have a stipend so all the teens have the same amount of money when we leave, and then no one feels left out. Because when we went to the mall, it's kind of like, I don't want to go, let's go back. So that way everybody's included and there's no difference between them. We'd also like another van, because vans help us when there's only 2 or 3 teens going to visit an industry club. So that way we don't have to get out the big bus, and it's going to be more cost efficient than our larger buses. And then we always can use volunteers and just general operating support. And our teen center, funding to finish that teen center strong.
And carry that into then the vision, because I know that you're trying to really double up the efforts and the impact. So talk about the goals moving forward.
We have our slogans, Dub 100, double the number of youth served by 2026 is what we're trying to do. So we're trying to reach 10,000. So we've got 2 more years, 3,000 youth. That's what we're trying to do.
What for you personally, when you talk about the impact that Boys and Girls Clubs of Middle Tennessee is having on our, young leaders, what puts a smile on your face to see the efforts, to see the impact, to see the transformation taking place? So what puts a smile on your face?
Well, I've been here 28 years. So I'm on second, maybe third generation, but they won't tell me that. But second generation, but it's good to see, because at our steak and burger dinner last month, we had one of the youth that when I first started as a volunteer that came to that dinner. And just to see her now as a successful adult, she's been in nursing, she's bought her first home. So those kind of things. So a lot of times we may not see the impact. And then just knowing that when you go to the schools and you talk to teachers and see how well the students are doing, or you have them out in the community advocating for their process. We have one, Savannah, she wanted to do her own nonprofit where she raises money to cover art supplies for children who couldn't have it as an outlet for their mental health. So when you see them advocating for things, we went to this year on our Day on the Hill in Nashville, and we had one of our participants, he was advocating to fix the potholes in his neighborhood. But just seeing them be passionate about what they want for not only for themselves, but for their club and their community.
That's awesome. And that also shows that ripple impact when you look at what they're doing and how it can impact others and pay it forward from there. That's impressive. And so wrap up with where we can go to carry this conversation forward. Where can we go to learn more about Boys and Girls Clubs in Middle Tennessee and get involved in all the different ways that we talked about?
Okay, our website is bgc-tn.org. And that's 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 bgc-tn.org. bgcmt.org, and they'll have a tab on there to get involved.
Website again is BGCMT, so the initials, Boys and Girls Clubs Middle Tennessee, so bgcmt.org. And Denise Carothers, Director of Events and Community Engagement with Boys and Girls Clubs of Middle Tennessee. Thank you for all you and your amazing team do to power the good. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services is proud to power the City Current Show. We're a people-first company that protects what matters most, the families, businesses, and trailblazers that keep our community going. As one of the nation's top independent insurance firms, Higginbotham is a single-source solution for business insurance, employee benefits, HR services, and personal insurance that's customized for you. We're here to serve you, the people you care about, and your community. Call 866-377-1959 or visit higginbotham.com.